And as always, of course, US news is big in the UK, and the biggest news of all, of course, is I was going to say the comeback of Donald Trump, but what I mean by that is that Trump is once again dominating the headlines for pretty appalling reasons. He lost this civil suit brought against him on the basis of the allegation of rape. The jury decided that he was guilty of it. But then, of course, he's just sort of seems to have sailed through it. So tell us how it's being portrayed in the US. And it's quite a complex landscape, I suspect, because it depends which media outlet you're watching.
Well, the timing was very interesting because, of course, the day after the trial, he appeared as the kind of star on CNN as in this town hall, which was more of a campaign rally, to be honest. But he wasn't actually done for rape in the end. He got off on the rape charge. He got done for sexual abuse and defamation. And he had to pay $5 million to E. Jean Carroll for both of those. Because it's a civil case, he doesn't get criminally indicted, but he does have to pay a fine. But it didn't seem to even dent his success and his support with all of the MAGA Republicans. I would suggest that being a sexual abuser is a bit of a kind of success story for someone like him and for his supporters, which is just so backward and so sad and so inappropriate. But, this is America. It's another world.
I think there was a very interesting article, I think it was in today's Times, actually, making the point about Trump, that this kind of, when he lies, just baldly lies on television and is corrected by the fact checkers saying, actually, that's untrue. It plays to his strengths because he just punches through it, talks over them, and is seen by his supporters to kind of vanquish his enemies. But I have a real problem, actually, the more I think about it. A real problem with CNN giving him a platform. I don't think it's an excuse anymore to say we'll have this guy on because he's running for president. He's been, albeit not raped, but effectively found guilty of a serious sexual assault. We know what kind of man he is, and yet the media loves him because it just feeds their ratings.
Well, I have a working theory that he doesn't even know that he's lying. He thinks he's telling the truth. He does think he won the election. He does think there was election fraud. He doesn't, on the E. Jean Carroll rape issue, he probably knows that he did that. He clearly did do that, but, because the answers he gives, he claims he doesn't know her, says she's a whack job. In fact, there's a chance that she's going to sue him again because of his language about her on the CNN show.
Quite right.
But, this guy has pleaded guilty to 34 criminal charges over the hush money payments to the porn star Stormy Daniels. He gets found civilly liable for sexual assault and defamation and goes on TV and just lies his way through this whole thing. And his poll rating is higher than ever.
Now, talking quickly of liars, George Santos has admitted to theft. This is tell our listeners who George Santos is and the latest in this terrible saga.
George Santos is a new congressman, a Republican congressman, who basically fabricated his CV. They call it a resume.
Completely. Unbelievably.
Completely. And claimed that he basically fabricated his whole life story.
Yeah.
Well, he pleaded not guilty on Wednesday to charges that he duped donors, stole from his campaign, lied to Congress about being a millionaire, all while cheating to collect unemployment benefit that he didn't deserve. He had a job paying $110,000 and he was still collecting unemployment. And so there is that serious issue. He was released on a $500,000 bond following his arraignment. But the same day, he's had to do a deal with Brazilian prosecutors because it turns out he stole a checkbook years ago and started buying fancy shoes and stuff with these fake checks. And so he's had to do a deal with them because his passport's been seized. He can't appear in Brazil. So he's done a deal where he has to pay like $5,000 and they're going to let him off.
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I couldn't get my head around the Brazilian court. And of course, the great irony, we've just talked about Trump and how ghastly he is and how the media treats him. The great irony, of course, is that George Santos, I guarantee you, in 10 years' time, will be sitting on $25 million because they've made a Hollywood movie about him. I mean, it's just
well, he already talked
unbelievable.
about the book. He's now promoting a book that he hasn't written yet, and so whenever the cameras are in front of him and he's being accused of this and that, he just says, "Well, it'll all be in the book." And he's literally like networking and pushing for another job that hasn't happened yet. That the guy is a grifter. Trump is a grifter. A lot of these MAGA Republicans, they see this as a business opportunity.
And if you enjoyed that, you can tune in to hear me, Ed Vasey, every Friday at 7 o'clock on Times Radio.